everyone. Welcome to Across the Bifrost, the Mighty Thor podcast, where on each and every episode we explore the world of Marvel's Mighty Thor. I am flying solo today. I'm your only host, Ryan Doe's here for another episode. It feels like the throwback days where I'm just by myself, but I'm not just by myself. Thankfully, Thor editor Will Moss decided to give us a little bit of his time today, and we're going to talk about the brand new #1. Will, this is it's exciting times.
Thanks. Yeah. Happy to be here. Happy for Mortal Thor #1 to be out in the world. Yeah.
I think we last spoke to you near the first few issues of Immortal. So
right.
we've lived in Al Ewing's world for a while now. And so we're this will be the 26th issue. We had that weird Roxxon Thor special, which was hella fun. That was such a great issue. But I just wonder, we're relaunching kind of the same overarching story, but we got this new #1. How is Thor going right now? Like, just kind of on your level, not necessarily the writing, but on the editorial level, how is Thor going right now?
Yeah, I mean, Thor's great. Al, when I went to Al a couple years ago for this book, he had a great pitch, and this is all part of it. Like, it's all going to plan, and but Al's also smart and great about leaving things kind of a little bit loose in his pitches, so there's room for changes and stuff. But this still lines up overall with like what he pitched me a few years ago, where we're kind of at the halfway point of his story.
Yeah.
It's going great. Pasqual Ferry's on board, and he's a delight to work with. He's a hero of mine for a long time. I was a fan of his work long before I entered comics professionally. So I've worked with him some in the past, but it's great to get to work with him again on this. So it's going well.
That's one of the newest elements that people have been picking up this book. They're like, oh, we got new artists. So when you knew we weren't going forward with Jan doing art for whatever reason, maybe just tonal shift, where did Pasqual come along? Was it why did you feel like he was right for this next part of the story?
Sure. Yeah. Let me just take a second though. Just, you mentioned Jan. Let me just sing Jan's praises for a second. Like, Jan is wonderful. She was ours on the last maybe dozen issues of Immortal Thor.
It's about half. Yeah.
And she was she's a brilliant artist, and we love her take on Thor and Asgard. And with this shift, we wanted a visual change, not anything against Jan's art. It just felt like #1, and this brand new direction and tone. We wanted a visual shift. And now she's off doing great work on the latest Marvel Zombies miniseries.
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
Yeah. And Pasqual, he's obviously like done Thor before. Like, he's fantastic work with Matt Fraction and his partner here, Matt Hollingsworth.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting here is that it's not it's a different Thor that he's returning to. So for him and for readers, it's not what he's already done. Like, it's he's back on Thor, but it's not that same Thor at all. So I think it's a new challenge for him, and I think it shows in the pages that he's responding.
You mentioned kind of like having your own bit of sentimental connection to his artwork and his style. Getting to work with him at this stage where like his name name actually does carry probably a little more weight than he was on Thor last time, because what that would have been maybe 10, 15 years ago that he would have done that stuff with Fraction.
At least 15, yeah.
And Matt Fraction, a guy who's back in the news, like with a brand new #1 over at DC, apparently doing gangbusters. I'm sure Batman fans are very happy. But when you work with Pasqual at this point, does any of that fanboy still kind of rise up, and you're like, oh, I get to actually do like a new project or new story with this artist that I already looked up to way back when?
Yeah, for sure, definitely. I mean, Pasqual is somebody I keep wanting to call like Sir in my emails or something like that, just because he's a master.
Mr. Ferry.
yeah, Mr. Ferry, right. He's But he's such a nice guy, such a down to earth guy that he just makes it easy to talk with and email with. But yeah, I love getting an email from him. But I love especially when I get an email and I see that there's a little paper clip there next to it, so I know there's new pages because see fresh Pasqual Ferry art is just always a thrill.
And actually, that kind of goes to one of the process questions as an editor. Do you have, like, in your schedule, because you edit several books, do you have like designated, like, this is my day to work on Thor, this is my day to work on Ultimate Universe stuff? Do you have it mapped out a certain way just from a process point of view?
No, I mean, what really just dictates it is what often dictates is what's most on. Like, what's most urgent? What's the thing that has to be dealt with? So yeah, there's no specific day for Thor or for any of the books. It's just kind of as it goes. Like today, I've been working on, I don't know, 5 or 6 different books. And it just kind of depends on what's new, what you need to get back to people about. So
what's pressing at the moment.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess kind of going back to Thor more directly, we are in this. For me, the issue was fantastic kind of introduction to Thor as Sigurd now, and Sigurd's kind of a name we haven't heard in a long time. But one of the most compelling parts of this issue was the letter page, where Al kind of writes this cyclical breakdown of what we're beginning again and how we're re-adding to the Thor mythos. We are in this second act, of his overarching story. And as an editor, this meta narrative over several books, this is our second #1 in this series that Al is telling. How do you find editing those meta narratives where an author is going to be doing kind of several different parts of a overarching story? Do you have to like approach that differently? Is there a different mindset you have to take into that?
I mean, I guess in the sense of like kind of we talked about with Pasqual, like if there's going to be a big change like this, we got to find the right visual for it. If we're going to do a #1 and it has the same writer and the same cover artist, that's another reason that we have an art shift. Like we need there to be something that helps kind of almost not justify the #1 because there's also the new direction. But yeah, so in that sense, when there are new #1s within the same run by a writer, you do have to kind of write. It's a little more than just being, here's the next issue of the series, because obviously we had to change the logo. We had to get new designs done. We had to talk about like our marketing team about how, because we initially kept under wraps exactly how Thor was coming back. Everybody, we knew, we said that he was going to die at the end of Mortal Thor, and clearly Thor was continuing because, before the way solicits work, before 25 was out, we already solicited the first 2 issues of this series. So we had, we blacked out Sigurd's details on the first 2 covers when we solicited them and stuff. So yeah, like when you do #1s and stuff, it is a little weird, I guess, in the sense that you're having to treat it like a #1, even though it's the same series that you've been telling.
Does that ever, like, when we were doing solicitations for things like that, does that ever get kind of murky? It's like, okay, we want people to be excited for this book, but we can't really give away the game.
Yeah. There's all kinds of tricks and stuff you have to, and things you have to balance when you're working on the solicits, right? Because you want people to still enjoy it, but you also need to sell the books. So it's a tough balance.
Right. For a title like this, where like it's not like a team book, where it's like Avengers or X-Men, where you can shift around the roster. When people buy a Thor book, they want a Thor book. So it's like, how do you kill off the main character? But I'll bet you I'm sure you've learned this very well. Like the art of writing a solicitation that's both a hook and also doesn't give away too much. It's like, oh, well, I don't even need to buy the book now. It's probably very much a fine balance. I do have a few questions about the story specifically in this first issue. We're introduced to Sigurd. We get kind of little touches of places we've been. Roxxon's still there. We have Lucky, kind of our low-key like stand-in for now. We'll learn more about him, I'm sure. And so there's familiar things in here, but one thing that is glaringly omitted from this first issue is Asgard. Any reference to Asgard. I mean, heck, Beta Ray Bill might as well be this version of Earth's Thor. There has been, in the solicitations, we do know, like, Tales of Asgard is coming back. And I just, anything you can tell myself, I'm very, very curious. I love the classic Tales of Asgard stories. What function is Tales of Asgard maybe going to play in this Mortal Thor era? Is it more of a narrative device? Because Norse gods are they're fictionalized in this version, not as reality based as we're used to in a Thor book, or is it going to be more of the traditional take on Tales of Asgard? If you can tell us anything.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it is going to be like like we're checking back in with Asgard. Like Asgard is still out there. For us readers. It's just the people of Earth who now don't remember that it was real, that think of it as just being Norse myth. But it does serve like a purpose with the events that in the main story that Sigurd's going through. Things, there will be some dovetailing, but for a while it's going to be pretty separate. But it will serve a purpose to kind of bring things back together at some point.
Absolutely, and like there is a certain part of like we didn't start maybe with this issue in the same status quo we're used to, but there is that kind of like, okay, when are these two worlds going to intersect again? Kind of that thing in the back of our mind. When the cover for issue 3 of this run came out, I'm a massive Ulick fan. Like, I'm probably the one person in the world that when I see Ulick on a cover, I'm like, well, I'm buying all of those covers. And Matt Magny's on that cover as well. So okay. So we're not, this isn't the Asgard-less Thor run. We're not so street level that we don't get to go hang out with these other characters we're invested in. But I'm very excited for that third issue because I can't wait to see how Ulick shows up.
I mean, that's issue 4, actually. Just
it's 4? Okay. Issue 3 is like they're on the steel girders. And again, like just you mentioned this kind of before we got started. Amazing Alex Ross art the entire way through. Getting an Alex Ross cover every month for the last few years has been a treat. Just so like from a fan to you, like, the boss, like just letting you know that has been a treat through and through. And the artwork inside is amazing as well. But Alex Ross is just one of those names. Like it carries a little more like kind of oomph. I think that's. Sure. It kind of goes without saying, probably, if you're a comic book fan and you're listening.
Yeah, I mean, Alex is just a true master. I mean, that guy is never phoned it in. Never like he's. I don't know how he does it and how he's done it for so long. He's incredible. Yeah. So skilled, so creative, incredibly professional. He's great. He's the full package. He's Alex Ross.
A while back, he had posted on his social media a picture of him in the 90s, and boy howdy, did he look different.
Is that picture of him and Jack Kirby?
Him and Jack Kirby. We got some run out of that picture. That was like two legends. That's such a cool thing he shared. Very excited for like kind of what we've been able to see through solicitations and previews. The one other kind of inside the book narrative thing I wanted to just hit on is there are a few moments where we're using these callbacks, like Eric Teller, a little bit of a callback. Is that, from an editorial standpoint, obviously not an Al Ewing question. When you see those callbacks, is that something where, as an editor, you're like, okay, we might need to explain this callback for people? Or how do you differentiate a callback or a reference you need to specifically say to the reader, okay, if you want to know more about this, go look at this, or
Sure.
deciding, you know what, that's a reference that I think we either want to leave ambiguous or maybe it ties in later. How do you decide how you want to interact with a callback like that?
Yeah, I mean, I typically err on the side of putting in like an editor's note
Okay.
for things that I think, if it's not something that if you don't get the reference and it's not going to affect anything else about the way you read the story, I think it's fine to
Yeah.
not have an editor's note. But if it's something that I think does affect the story or just would be beneficial for you to have the background info on, I like to put in editor's notes or put in something in the letters page to that end. But with Al and Thor specifically, Al's made a point on this, and he did it on Mortal Hulk too, of not including editor's notes for the references that he works in. And I support that. Like Al's the kind of writer that I think works stuff in that if you do need to know more about it, he will include more stuff about that in the story itself.
Okay.
We had when we introduced Magni back up,
Right.
that was something where Al and I had a discussion about, I think that it's a character that some people are familiar with and will know, but I think there's a good chunk, if not a bigger chunk of people who won't. And so we eventually compromised and did work in a note for that, just to point people to it. And the compromise was that the note is still in the narrator's voice, still in Loki's voice.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a great solution from Al. It worked out great.
I loved that because Magni was even like a character that I needed a refresher on when he popped up, and there were several like listeners that were like, "Oh, it's the guy from that what like," and we're like, I need your help here. We have this like running little joke about the way kind of Al Ewing writes stories that Al never forgets. Right. Even if you forget, he knew the story he's referencing. He knew it backward and forward. So we're kind of playing catch up to a little bit. But it's just great that we have an author that cares so much about detail and referencing and almost like tying up continuity ends and narrative ends. Like as an editor, is that like like sometimes you're like, hey Al, we don't need to tie up every loose end, or is it like, oh my gosh, I think we're working on something that is maybe next level in that storytelling process.
Yeah, I love the way Al works and just the way he makes the whole Marvel universe feel like it's actually one story. Like he's so great, and no, Al can never go far enough in terms of everything. In my opinion.
As a reader, that is good to know that Al can never go far enough. Just kind of expanding a little bit more from Thor specifically. Loved the first issue, but like, what else you're working on right now? You're kind of the, correct me if I'm wrong, you're the boss of like the Ultimates line, and that is gangbusters. How is that going?
Going well. Today's an Ultimates heavy day. I've been doing a lot of Ultimate stuff. It's going well. We announced that Ultimate Spider-Man is going to be wrapping up, and we're also gearing up for the big Ultimate Endgame miniseries, and
which made a few headlines here and there. Oh man, the
present there in Ultimates too. He's there's the Asgard solo issue, a few issues. Then he's been off since then, but he's going to be back in a big way before long.
You answered the one question that a designated fan of Ultimates reads the Ultimates book. It's every month one of our co-hosts, Faz, who you're familiar with, he just like, oh my gosh, dude, the new issue of Ultimates, it was the best one yet. And it was like, wasn't last month the best one yet? But I gotta say, he got me to read the Thor centric splash, all splash pages issue. It, oh my gosh, it was so dense and like in the best way, in the way Denise Camp writes, like kind of one of those guys. I feel like Al Ewing is like, does he forget anything? Like it doesn't feel like he's got a lot of weak spots. But
Yeah.
you said Thor's coming back in a big way. Is there anything else maybe that you can share about Thor's role in that book? Because he is a fantastic character in that book so far.
Yeah, Thor and Sif too. I love that
Oh yeah, Sif.
on the team there. But I can't really share anything specific about
Yeah.
them other than they are the Ultimates are forming like a resistance network on Earth,
Right.
and Thor and Sif are out there expanding it, and then so
Fantastic.
there's going to be a moment where everything comes together. I think it's going to be pretty explosive.
It's just nice to know that we're not done with them because I also
Yeah.
I like Sif getting more of a spotlight.
Yeah.
She's a great character that is very 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 deserving of a spotlight.
Yeah.
And we see like Doctor Strange has been hanging out on Asgard a lot more.
Right.
And we're getting Angela back in a more, I'm assuming, semi-permanent role. In terms of Marvel overall, like I feel like there's a lot of cool things going on right now. We got some cool crossovers like happening. It feels like this is the year of crossovers. I don't know how directly you're involved with any of those properties, but Batman versus Deadpool. We got Godzilla showing up everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, what? Just as we kind of wind this conversation down, kind of the current state of comics. How are you feeling as an editor, looking at maybe just Marvel and being like, okay, here's where we're at right now. Here's how I feel we're at.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited about all the stuff. I was when I was back. I was on vacation recently, and I was back home. I was seeing an old friend of mine that I'd seen in a while. That I started read comics that got me into comics back in high school, and doesn't read comics now. He's asking me what's going on with with the Spider-Man, with X-Men, with Thor, and I was telling him, and he was like, I got excited talking about it. I take a lot of this for granted just because it's work and stuff, and
it's work,
lost in it. But even just I was like, well, actually some cool stuff is happening. Like over in Spider-Man. These are the plans for Iron Man, and it was he was getting excited, I was getting excited by it. So yeah, I'm real happy with where things are at right now. The crossovers are fun. The Marvel DC crossover, the one that we put together, it's coming out soon. I think readers are really going to enjoy that. I worked on a couple of the stories in that, or one of the stories in that. It should be pretty great.
It's just been fun to see, like, there's this cover, Daredevil and Green Arrow are on a cover, and I'll never one of the drums I've been beating lately is like I'll never say no to Marco Cicchetto art, and when he's like, oh my gosh, that's what Green Lantern, or that's what Green Arrow should look like. Now I know, but it's just kind of fun. Like I feel like we're in a very fun time for comics, and a lot of cool things are happening that maybe a few years ago you'd be like, oh, there's no way Godzilla versus the Avengers is happening. Or there's no way the Predator is going to kill the Marvel universe. Things like that. So as a fanboy of many different things, like most of us kind of are, it's just kind of cool to see all of your action figures get thrown in the same sandbox.
Sure.
But Will, you've been so awesome, man. I know we're keeping this really brief today, and I want to respect your schedule. But is there anything else you feel like listeners of a Thor dedicated podcast should know about this book, maybe, or anything you just want people to know as we sign off here?
I think there's something I can hint at or anything like that. I mean, as people keep their eyes on Thor. Al's got, we're at the halfway point, but we're kind of at the top of the high point of the roller coaster. Like now is like it's going to be a lot of fun for the whole rest of the ride. Big stuff is coming, even though we're starting here, in the back alleys and stuff. It's going to be, we're not going to forget that this is a big Thor story that takes place in the wider Marvel universe.
I love it.
And Asgard will be popping up again soon. Sif, you mentioned Sif earlier. Her Heimdall is now back alive, and so we got two for the Bifrost now. How's that going to shake out? There's
I love it. Yeah. Oh man, it's things that go all the way back to Jason Aaron's run now being like Heimdall coming back. Okay, well that happened forever ago. I love things like that, and I love, dude. I just love that every time we open up a new issue with Thor, it's like edited by Will Moss. Okay, we're in freaking good hands. I love it, man. Well, hey, I want to just say, thank you for, taking the time. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day, man. Well,
thank you for supporting the book and singing the characters' praises. Really, it's always so great to see real enthusiasm like you guys bring every time you do one of these shows. I appreciate that.
Well, man, you are always welcome. We love chatting with you and getting to pick your brain. So I'll just sign off now, man. You you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks. You too.
Whosoever holds this hammer, if it be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor.